Lesson 9. Hi everybody, John here. Thanks for tuning into Lesson 9 in the Step-by-Step Voiceover Lessons for Beginners series. In Lesson 8, we discussed the second link in the voiceover recording chain, your voice. In this episode, we talk about the third link, the microphone. Now, I will get into a few of the technical details that I think you should be aware of, but this series is for beginners, so this is primarily a nuts and bolts basics episode. Okay, here we go. The microphone is, of course, that necessary piece of audio equipment that's going to turn your voice into an electrical signal and send it to your recording software where it'll be captured as a digital file that you can work with. So it's a crucial link in the recording chain, and your choice of microphone for voiceover work is critical. There are many different types of microphones for many different purposes, but we're going to focus on just one, the condenser microphone. Condenser mics are designed to be very sensitive to sound and can produce a clear, highly detailed recording, which is usually what we want for voiceover work. There's another type of mic called a dynamic mic. They're designed for high-volume situations, like concerts and other live events. But they're not as sensitive as condenser mics, so generally aren't a good choice for studio voiceover work, though they are sometimes used for broadcasting and podcasting. For your purposes as a new voice talent, we'll stick with the condenser microphones. So, which of the hundreds of condenser mics available is the right one for you? Well, it depends on your budget, your recording environment, what you're using it for, and personal preference. The best way to narrow the field is to check out mics that are already popular for VO work, and I'll link to some resources in the show notes to steer you in the right direction. The good news is, prices have come way down over the last few decades, and you can get a perfectly usable mic for under $300 nowadays. But let's start with the industry standards. Professional recording studios use a lot of different mics for voiceover work, but a few are particularly common. The top of the heap seems to be the Neumann U87, which is a versatile, large diaphragm condenser mic that's very popular for recording voiceover. But it's pricey, around $3,500 as of this recording. So while this mic may be in your future, if you're starting out, you can definitely wait. Another popular VO mic is the Neumann TLM-103 at around $1,200 currently. I've recorded a few times on this mic and it's very bright and detailed. Maybe even a little too bright for my taste, but that might have just been the monitors I was listening on. Keep in mind, brighter isn't necessarily better, as it may mean that the mic is boosting or lowering specific frequency ranges, which we call coloring the recording. Some engineers do like this quality, while others prefer that the mic be flat or transparent, meaning that the mic adds as little coloration as possible. And generally, a flat recording gives the engineer the most control over the sound. Finally, the Sennheiser 416, which I'm recording this podcast on, is used a lot for VO, and it's the mic I've recorded on more than any other in professional studios. It's a highly directional mic called a shotgun mic, and is also a popular choice for recording location sound for on-camera shoots. It's about $1,000 right now. You probably don't need any of these three mics right now, but there are a few jobs that require at least one of them, as the producers may want to match the tone of different voice talent recording in different home studios. In fact, I saw an audition listing recently where the voice talent were required to have both the U87 and the 416 in their home studios. So there's a good chance you'll be picking up at least one of these mics in the future. But here are some popular voiceover mics at lower price points as of this recording. The Audio-Technica AT2020 for about $100 is a pretty good sounding mic and a solid choice for beginners. The Rode NT1A, about $200, is another good option. I may actually prefer the AT2020, but listen for yourself. The Lewitt LCT440 at about $290 is another solid choice for not a lot of money. I'll link to a comparison video in the show notes so you can check out these mics and a few others, including the TLM-103 and the U87. There are, of course, plenty of other options at various price points, and I do encourage you to listen to other comparisons. A few additional notes. Keep in mind that speakers all sound different, so try to compare mics on a reasonably high-end system. Earbuds, your mobile phone, or the speaker on your laptop are not high enough fidelity to make a good comparison. The microphone preamp or audio input device, which is the subject of the next lesson, will also affect the sound of the microphone, so keep that in mind when listening to different mic shootouts online, as they're probably using different input devices. I don't recommend a USB mic as your primary mic for home recording, as they have built-in preamps which limit your control over the sound and are not really considered to produce the same quality as traditional XLR mics. XLR is a type of connector or cable that's used in professional audio. But USB mics are inexpensive and can be useful for travel or remote recording where simplicity and speed are more important. And finally, be careful who you buy from. There's a lot of knockoff merchandise out there, and if you're buying on Amazon, be sure to buy from the manufacturer's listing and not from a third party. If you're not sure, play it safe and order from Sweetwater.com. They're an established vendor. They're not sponsoring me. I have no affiliation with them. And you can get advice from one of their sales reps if you need it. In Lesson 10, we'll talk about microphone preamps and audio input devices, which are link number 4 in the voiceover recording chain. In the meantime, the next assignment is to start thinking about the practical considerations of doing voiceover work. By this point, I've given you plenty of performance instruction to work with for now, and of course you should be practicing regularly. But you have to figure out how this work is going to fit into your life. Where will you do your recording and editing? Are you set up to handle client-directed sessions? Do you have time in your schedule for this? These things need to be dealt with if you really want to do this work. Okay, that's it for now. Links in the description, subscribe for more episodes, and thanks for listening.